Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to start chapter 12, that is reproduction in plants. Firstly, see all the parts of a plant. If we see this diagram, we find that mainly the plants consist of three main parts, as you have studied in your lower classes also, that is upper one, leaves, stem and roots. These three are the main parts of a plant. Beside these, a plant also consists of flowers. In the same way, it also has bud, node, internode. All these parts are also present in case of a plant. What is a node? Node is that portion of the plant from where a side branch arises, and internode is the portion between the two nodes. So we can say the gap between two nodes is called an internode, and bud generally arises at the base of a branch. In the same way, the roots which go directly to the soil, they are called primary roots, and the side roots which arise from the primary root are called secondary roots. And flower is the part, or we can say it is the reproductive part of a plant which help in sexual reproduction. So we can say stem, leaf, these are or roots, these are the vegetative parts, whereas flower is the reproductive part of a plant. So these are the different parts of a plant. Now as we are studying about reproduction, so we should know what is reproduction. Reproduction is the process by which new organisms are produced from their parents, or we can say reproduction is the production of new individuals from their parent. The process of producing young ones of their own kind is called reproduction. As I told you, the different parts of the plant, in that root, stem and leaves are the vegetative parts of a plant, and the reproductive part is the flowers. In plants there are two main types of reproduction. It means we can divide the reproduction in two categories. First one is asexual reproduction and second one is sexual reproduction. Firstly, you should know the basic difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, uh, this occurs without the formation of any seed, or we can say generally in asexual reproduction only one parent or only one plant is involved, whereas in case of sexual reproduction, it occurs with the help of seeds where there is the involvement of two parents. Generally in asexual reproduction we say only one parent is involved, whereas in sexual reproduction two parents are involved. In the same way, if we are talking about plants, we can say asexual reproduction occurs without the formation of seeds, whereas in sexual reproduction seeds are produced. Now I will explain today in this video the first main important type of asexual reproduction, that is vegetative propagation. In plants there are different types of asexual reproduction. They are vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation, spore formation, etc. So in today's video I will explain about vegetative propagation. As we know, in this method new plants are produced from the vegetative parts like roots, stem or leaves. As it is a type of asexual reproduction, so there is no involvement of any flowers or seeds. For example, if the stem cutting of a rose plant or money plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. In the same way, potato has certain eyes which are called buds, and if we put these eyes or buds into the soil, the new plant can be grown. In the same way, from ginger also we can grow new plant, and bryophyllum leaves also help in making new bryophyllum plants. So in this way we can say vegetative propagation help with the help of vegetative parts like root, stem or leaf. Now I will explain them one by one. As I told you, vegetative propagation means, or we can say vegetative reproduction means production of new plants from the vegetative parts like root, stem or leaf. It can be further divided into two categories: natural method and artificial method. As the name is indicating, which occurs by itself, that is natural method, and if we do it artificially, that is called artificial method. Natural method occurs with the help of root, stems are of different types like rhizomes, bulbs, tubers, combs, and with the help of leaves. In the same way, artificial methods are of different types like cutting, grafting, layering and tissue culture. Firstly, how vegetative propagation occurs by roots. tuberous roots of dahlias, sweet potato and asparagus. Actually what happened, the plants such as this dahlia, sweet potato and asparagus have swollen roots. This is due to the food stored in them. In other words, we can say these roots have some stored food in it, due to which they are swollen, as you can see in the diagram. When such swollen roots are buried in the soil, we can get the new plant. So we can say these roots help in formation of new plants. So in this way we can get new plant from the root part of the old plant. So it is a vegetative propagation method by roots. In the same way, stems also help in vegetative propagation. The stems which help in vegetative propagation, they are of different types, like runners, which include oxalis grass, chrysanthemum, mint, vallisneria, etc. And in the same way, underground stem means the stems which are found under the ground, like rhizomes, bulbs, tubers, combs. All these are the further different types of underground stem. Now firstly I will explain about runners. Firstly is given oxalis and grass. Horizontal stems will produce new roots at nodes. Nodes, as I told you, is the part from which a side branch arises. So here in this case, some horizontal stems will produce new roots at the nodal portion, and then shoot grow upward, forming new plant at frequent intervals. So in this way the stem help in formation of a new plant. In the same way, in case of chrysanthemum and mint, horizontal stem arise from the base of the erect shoot. Shoot means stem, means some stems arise from the base of the stem, and these stems which arise from the base of the stem, they make a new plant, and after some time they become an independent plant. So in this way a new plant or a number of plants are produced from the stem part. In the same way, in case of vallisneria, arched stem which grows over small obstacle, means after bending stem makes new plants, and in this way a new plant is formed from the stem part of the old plant. So all these are runners, means which run along the ground, and these are present above the ground level, and in this way a new plant is formed from the old part stem. In the same way, there are underground stems like rhizomes, which include ginger, turmeric and banana, which can make new plants. Bulbs consist of onions. Onion also makes new plants. And in the same way, tubers, as you can see, there are certain eyes or buds in the potato. Potato when planted form new plants. These parts in this way can give new plants to arise. In the same way, there are combs like loads of rhizomes. When joined together, they develop into new plants like gladiolus. So all these are the different types of stems which are shown in the pictures, and these stems make the new plants. In the same way, we can also make new plants from the leaves, like in case of bryophyllum. Leaves of certain plants such as bryophyllum contain certain buds in their notches located at the margins. These buds develop into new plants when these are grown on the soils. As you can see, there are certain buds present at the margin of the leaf, and when these margins fall on the ground, they make a new plant. In this way, from the leaf also new plants can be arised. So we naturally we can make new plants from the stem, leaf or root part of the old plant. So all these are the natural methods of vegetative propagation. Now there are other artificial methods also, like first one is cutting. Firstly, you should know what is a cutting. A small piece of stem of a plant having some leaf buds is called cutting. So in cutting, we generally take a small piece of a stem of the parent plant which is having some leaf bud is called cutting. When such a cutting is planted into soil, it develops roots and grows into a new plant. Bougainvillea, sugarcane, cactus, rose, etc. Can be grown from their cuttings. What are the advantages of cutting? Number one, a large number of plants can be produced from the old one by the method of cutting. And generally the plants which are grown by cutting, they take less time to grow, which are grown from the seeds. And thirdly, because it is asexual reproduction, so the new plants which are grown by cutting method, they are identical to the parent plant. So generally cutting is preferred. During cutting, only a piece of a stem having some leaf bud is grown into the moist soil, so that's why only a part is cut, that's why it is called a cutting. Second method is grafting. In this method, a cutting of the desired plant, which is called skin, is inserted. As you can see in the diagram, skin is the upper portion and stalk is the lower portion. So we can say in this method, a cutting of the desired plant called skin is inserted into a cut in the branch, or we can say into the stem of a rooted plant, which is called stalk of the same species. It means skin and stalk should be taken from the same species. The stalk and skin are tied together with the thread so that their cambium is that part which undergoes cell division, get fused into one. So we can say we generally take two parts. From one plant we take the skin, that is upper portion, and from the other plant we take the lower portion, which is called stalk, and then we join them together with the help tightly with the help of soil and thread. Stalk supplies all the necessary nutrients to the skin. This technique is very useful in producing desired variety of plants and fruits. Now there are many advantages of grafting also. By grafting we can get desired varieties of plants, flowers and fruits. Secondly, the plants which cannot be grown easily from seeds or from cuttings, they can be grown by grafting. So we can say in this we generally join the stem from two different plants. Third method is layering. Layering, as you can see in the diagram, a branch is bent and a new plant is get. In this method, a lower branch of the plant is bent to the ground and covered with moist soil. After some time, when the roots sprout out from the branch and produce new plantlets, these plantlets are separated from the parent plant and are grown in the soil. Generally, some plants like jasmine, bougainvillea, etc. can be grown by the layering method. So this is also very simple. The lowermost branch is buried under the soil, and when it develops the roots, the new plants can be grown. Now the last method of artificial vegetative propagation is tissue culture. Now what is tissue culture? In this method, a small piece of tissue is cut off from the top of a plant. So we can say from the tip of the plant we cut a very small portion. This is then placed in an artificial nutrient medium containing hormones. Under aseptic conditions, the piece of the tissue which we have taken grows into an unorganized mass of tissue called callus. It means it start division and makes a group of cells which is called callus. The callus or this group of cells is then transferred to another nutrient medium containing plant hormones, where it multiplies and differentiates into small plants. These plants are then transferred to the moist soil for further growths. So we can say here we generally take a small tissue from the tip of the plant, and then it is grown with the help of artificial conditions, with the help of plant hormones. And after, when it makes very small plantlets, that small plantlet is grown into the moist soil. Many plants like orchids, chrysanthemum, etc. can be grown by this tissue culture method. Now what are the advantages, what are the beneficial effects of this vegetative propagation? All these methods which we discussed today here, the plants which are grown by this method are exactly, or we can say genetically similar to the parent plant. Secondly, the plants which do not produce any seeds, they can be grown easily by this vegetative propagation method. This is more economical method and it takes very less time to grow the plants. So vegetative propagation we can say is very important method of asexual reproduction, in which only a single parent is involved, which makes the new plants. Thank you.